At the beginning of the story, we see a man named James. He has been trapped here for several days and is waiting for help. He also has a plane which has crashed. Actually, James was passing through this area with his companions when his plane crashed, killing all of his friends and leaving him alone. He has a small machine with him. If he turns its handle and there is any helicopter nearby, it will connect with it. But despite trying many times, he fails to establish contact because this is a place where no one ever comes. Above, where the ice is thin, James has set up hooks to catch fish. He has caught many fish and survives by eating them. The next morning, James goes up to the cliff again and turns on his machine once more. But today too, he fails to connect with anyone. Here we also see some stones with which he talks. The truth is he has buried all his dead companions here. James then returns to his plane and notices that the fish he had collected are now gone. He thinks there must be someone else alive like him. But soon he sees polar bear footprints and realizes that a polar bear is nearby, one that could attack him. Frightened, he runs back inside his plane. Now James has another fear, the fear of polar bears, which are extremely dangerous. The next morning, he steps outside and sees stormy winds blowing everywhere. Still, he takes his machine and climbs the cliff, hoping to establish contact. When he turns the machine's handle, a green light turns on, meaning there is a helicopter nearby, but due to the snowstorm, he can't see anything. Then he spots a helicopter in front of him. He had prepared a flare and lights it. The helicopter notices him and starts approaching, but it gets caught in the storm and crashes. James runs toward the wreckage and sees that the pilot has died. But there is also a girl inside who is badly injured. He breaks open the helicopter door and carries her out, determined to save her life. With great difficulty, he drags her back to his plane. Inside the plane, the girl regains consciousness. James tries to talk to her, but she doesn't understand English, and he doesn't know her language either. He notices a deep wound on her stomach and bandages it before she faints again. James leaves a note for her. "I'll be back soon." Then he goes back to the helicopter wreckage where the pilot's dead body lies. He buries the pilot and places stones over the grave. Searching the helicopter, he finds a map, meaning he can now escape using it. He also finds some frozen noodles and a stove. Since he has been eating raw fish for days, he can now cook proper food. Among the wreckage, James also finds a photo of the injured girl and the pilot, along with a little girl. He realizes they were a family. Now because of him, the pilot is dead. He had brought the helicopter closer to rescue James, leading to the crash and his death. James feels deep sorrow in his heart over what has happened. He gathers all the supplies and returns to his plane. Just then, he hears a noise from outside. When he goes to check the spot where he had set up his fishing net, he sees that a huge fish has been caught in it. He takes the fish back to his plane and cooks it using the stove. The truth is, he has been trapped here for 6 months. And today, for the first time in half a year, he eats a properly cooked meal. He also feeds some food to the girl. Afterward, he examines the map he found in the girl's helicopter. Upon checking the map, he discovers that there is a help point several kilometers away, where helicopters come and people can get assistance. Now he makes a decision. He will take the girl and leave this place because soon, the cold will become even more extreme. The temperature will drop to -40 or 50 degrees, and no human can survive in such freezing conditions. So James decides that he will take the girl with him to that help point, even though the journey will be extremely difficult. He is determined to save her life. He catches more fish, collects some water, and leaves a note in the plane. "We were alive here, but now we are heading north." He carefully wraps the girl in his sleeping bag, places her on a plastic sled-like object, and starts pulling her forward. But James himself has become very weak, so his pace is slow. He keeps talking to the girl as he moves forward. Now he has a purpose. He wants to save the girl's life at any cost, especially since her husband died because of him. James continues pulling her for hours, but when he checks the map again, he realizes they still have about 40 kilometers left. At this speed, it will take him nearly 7 days to cover the distance, because movement on ice is very slow. To make matters worse, James is running out of strength. And the biggest danger lurking in this area is the polar bear. After walking all day, night falls. Now he must find a place to rest, where the cold is less severe because temperatures drop drastically at night. So he digs a small shelter in the snow and sets up a tiny tent to protect them from the freezing wind. He takes the girl inside, cooks some food, and spends the entire night there. James is now even more exhausted than before, but he is determined to save the girl no matter what, so he keeps moving forward slowly but steadily. Then he comes across a towering cliff. He could climb it alone, but there's no way he can pull the girl up. He takes out the map and checks it again. He realizes there is another way around the cliff, but taking that detour would add 4 or 5 more days to their journey. and he doesn't have enough food supplies to last that long, so he has no choice but to try pulling the girl up the cliff. First, he climbs up himself and then starts pulling her up with a rope. Slowly, he tries to haul her up, but suddenly the rope slips from his hands, and the girl slides back down to the base. James realizes it's impossible to get her up this way, so he brings all the supplies back down and accepts that if he wants to save her, he must take the longer route. Now he begins moving forward along that longer path. The girl is badly injured and her condition has worsened even more. James continues pulling the girl all day and soon night falls. As darkness sets in, he must find shelter because the cold becomes unbearable at night, and the threat of the polar bear still looms. Suddenly, he spots a small cave between the rocks. He realizes it might be a polar bear's den, but he has no other choice. He must go inside. Fortunately, luck is on his side. The cave is empty. He takes the girl inside and tries to cook food, but his gas supply has run out. This means he won't be able to eat cooked meals anymore. As days pass, James's struggles only increase. While inside the cave, he hears movement outside. His heart pounds. He knows the polar bear is nearby. The bear tries to enter, but James quickly lights a flare and throws it outside. The bright flame scares the bear away and it retreats into the night. Terrified, James spends the entire night in fear. The next morning, when he steps out, the polar bear is gone. Relieved, he quickly gathers the girl and leaves the cave. After hours of walking, a fierce snowstorm strikes. To protect themselves, James turns the sled carrying the girl toward the wind and lies over her, shielding her with his body. When the storm finally calms, he realizes they are completely buried in snow. He checks on the girl and sees blood trickling from her mouth. Her wound is now infected and he understands she might not survive. Heartbroken, he decides to leave her behind and continue alone. He places the family photo beside her and walks away, though every step fills him with guilt. But fate has other plans. After moving just a short distance, James falls into a crevice, breaking his leg. In that moment of pain, a realization strikes him. He was wrong to abandon the girl. Maybe she was the reason he was still alive. Maybe this was a test, a chance to prove his humanity. Gritting his teeth, he bandages his leg and drags himself back to the girl. When he reaches her, she has regained consciousness and weakly asks for water. James gives her some, then places her back on the sled. Despite his broken leg, he pushes forward, using a stick as a crutch. The pain is excruciating, but he refuses to give up. Finally, after an agonizing journey, they reach the rescue point, a high-altitude helipad. Exhausted, James can't pull the girl up the slope alone, so he climbs first and spots a helicopter in the distance. His heart soars with hope. He rushes back down and painstakingly drags the girl up. But when they reach the top, the helicopter and its crew are too far away. Desperate, James lights a flare, but they don't see it. In a last attempt, he sets his jacket on fire, but the flames go unnoticed. He and the girl scream for help, but the helicopter starts to leave. Crushed, they collapse onto the ice. Certain these are their final moments, James holds the girl's hand and whispers an apology. "Because of me, your husband died, and now you too." Just as their eyes begin to close, a sudden gust of wind. James's hair stirs. The helicopter's blades are roaring above them. The crew had spotted them after all. Rescue has arrived. James, who had been trapped in these frozen mountains for months, had never tried to escape until he saw the girl dying. Saving her became his purpose, and in doing so, he saved himself.